How pretty.
So that was a bunch of flowers blooming. We are in the blooming stage of our learning about the plant life cycle and what we can learn from the plants to use for our cycles. Let's start off with what's in our cup and what's in our heart. A good prompt for if last week you did get a chance. Our intention last week we left with was to take notice throughout your week if there was any moments you recognized that you were aligning yourself with your nature. So for me, I'll start. I am drinking rosebud tea. It's gonna go in our herbal line. I just am getting a whole bunch of fresh flowers from snowy mountains coming into me this week, and I'm really excited for our herbal line. Oh yay! Welcome, Miss Anderson.
Hi.
Hi. We're just going around now. We're just kind of getting started talking about what's in our cup and what's in our hearts. So yes, this week I recognize that this business is in alignment with the lifestyle that I'm trying to live, encouraging healthy decisions and fresh cooking all the time. It's just very in alignment with who I am as a person and nourishing and sharing the love all week long. And it also gets me in check to make sure I share the love with myself too. So this is a beautiful time. Thank you guys for that. And that's my cup and my heart.
Thanks, Leslie. That's lovely. I have in my cup right now some barley tea with black tea, so it is caffeinated. In my lap, I have a small dog, which is nice. And yeah, I tend to take this little dog to the park when I need to reset and get myself in a mindset for whatever I'm doing next for the day. So this week in particular, I had a morning appointment I forgot about, and it just completely threw off what I thought my day was going to look like. So I definitely went to the park, collected my thoughts, came home, and got on with my day how I needed to. So yeah, that is my alignment story.
Anybody else want to share your cup and in your heart today?
Okay, I'm drinking my wonderful matcha green tea.
Woo!
And today I spend my time outside. I had to clean my fountain. I had to trim my orange tree and just spend my morning out there. Got up early today, so it was just beautiful out there. First thing I do is go out there and turn my fountain on.
Oh.
And it's just a soothing sound, and I close my eyes for a minute and I'm somewhere else in the world. So that was my time this morning.
Thank you for sharing.
Wonder.
Okay, that's all for sharing today. That's fine. Okay. So today, speaking of matcha, we are doing our matcha mint face mask.
Oh, good.
Face mask.
And we can apply it now. I'll talk a little bit about the ingredients and then we'll go into learning a little bit about the blossoming phase of plants and ourselves. Yeah, you can go first. So matcha is a green tea. It's a powerful antioxidant, which is known to help reduce acne and to increase the skin's elasticity.
Oh, it smells great.
And it's good at helping reduce inflammation. So is peppermint. So those two work together, and to help even your skin tone. It's also antibacterial, has a ton of vitamin E, and which can increase stimulation. If you want to use this one in your scalp too, if you have flaky or oily scalp, this is a good thing to maybe do a little mask on your scalp with because it stimulates the cell turnover there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And like Nina did the other day, these are great to put on your hands too. Rejuvenate your hands after all the
Yeah, usually when I have some left in my hand, my hands from putting it on my face, I put it on my hands and it just, just feels so good.
Smells wonderful too.
Oh, great! I'm glad you like it.
This is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
bar. It's so luxurious.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of in Japanese restaurants when you get that green tea ice cream. That's what it reminds me of.
But don't they make that with matcha? I think they do.
Yeah, they
Do
do.
they? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that gives it that dark green color because all
Yeah.
matcha is a green tea, but it's more carefully cared for as it aged. They put it in a little hut with a bunch of different leaves on top, and they control the temperature and all of the factors, and then they bury it in a pot and they let it and then they roast it. There's one person whose life job is each step of the matcha production. Like your whole life is to wrap the matcha or to unwrap the matcha. They take it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch. They really made it into it used to be for the kings, you know. And
Hi, Whitney.
hi, Whitney.
Hi.
Welcome. We're just putting on our matcha mint face mask, and yeah. Well,
Oh,
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Whitney.
oh, happy
Thanks,
birthday.
Mom.
Birthday.
happy birthday.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, as our mask set in, I'm going to share a quick little video.
With over 300,000 plant species on Earth, there's no doubt that they have highly developed senses to stay alive and thrive. But while some of their features may be compared to taste, sight, touch, and smell in humans, have you ever wondered, can plants think? On land, the cumulative mass of plants is 1,000 times higher than that of animals. But these plants are immobile and can't move around in their environment, which is seemingly a pretty big evolutionary disadvantage. This has forced plants to adapt in amazing ways that often go unnoticed by the naked eye. Smell something funny? Plants do too, and they react to these chemicals in the air. For example, when fruits start to ripen, they release a chemical called ethylene. And when neighboring fruits sense this pheromone, they ripen faster so that all fruits mature at the same time. Plants also give off scents which attract insects to spread their pollen. In particular, the amazing carrion flowers grow tiny hairs, feel warm, and smell like rotting flesh in an attempt to mimic a dead corpse. This is to attract flies and beetles as pollinators. On the other hand, when a plant is attacked by an insect, animal, or pathogen, it knows. When acacia trees are grazed by animals, they quickly react by producing chemicals called tannins, which make their leaves unappetizing and tough to digest. Some even produce enough toxin to kill the animal. Perhaps more impressive are some corn and cotton plants, which when eaten by caterpillars, release chemicals in the air that attract parasitic wasps who fly in and ultimately kill the insects. On some level, they communicate with the wasps. Crazy as it seems, even sound recordings of caterpillars chewing leaves triggers this response. Without any form of touch, the plants react as if they can hear. On a large scale, plants also work together. A web of underground fungi can connect tree roots and forests, allowing them to exchange nutrients and information. Using radioactive isotopes, scientists discovered that trees share water and nutrients with others in need. Large trees nourish smaller shaded ones until they're tall enough to reach the sunlight, and trees that stay green all year round share nutrients with trees that lose their leaves in the winter, helping them through the season, which is then repaid in the summer months like a transactional exchange. Some scientists refer to this as the wood wide web. Perhaps the most shocking fact is that some plants seem to have memory. Mimosa pudica plants are those leafy plants that close up when touched. This reflex is meant to scare away insects that land on them. In an experiment on these reflexes, scientists noticed that when dropped from 15 centimeters, they would close when they hit the ground. Not so surprising, but after repeating the drop 4 or 5 times, some of the plants stopped closing as though they had realized the stimulus wasn't harmful. If they were shaken instead, they would close, but anytime they were dropped from the same height, they stayed opened. This effect lasted for weeks. The plants had memories. Of course, plants don't have brains or other cells and organs that we deem necessary for intelligence. Brains and neurons are irreplaceable, but plants are immobile and often attacked, so they must be able to survive after part of them is eaten or destroyed. A brain just wouldn't work. But if you measure intelligence or thought as the ability to solve problems, interact with an environment, and even work in groups, then plants are incredibly smart. It's something to think about the next time you're munching down on a piece of broccoli. And if you need any more convincing that plants are indeed amazing, check out our new second channel, ASAP Thought, where we share some.
I will share that video in our group chat and in our check-in email. If anybody wants to watch it again or share it with their peeps.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Never thought that they would, that they had brains. You don't think with that. You take it for granted that they're just there.
And how we've been watching those time-lapse videos of the plants, and like you see them moving and how they're chasing the sun and they're interacting in the day. They open at night, they close to preserve energy. It's like when you watch them fast, they look more like an animal moving, you know?
Yeah. But to be able to be defensive against the insects and stuff, that's like, I never thought of that. Did the cactus do the same thing? Any kind of plant?
Oh, so there's a type of cactus here in Nevada that will actually, if you get too close to it, it'll shoot its spines out at you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the jumping.
Right, Mom?
That's a jumping cactus, right?
Cactus. Yeah, we call that jumping cactus.
Okay, yeah. So that's one example. I imagine there are other cactuses that are doing similar or you know.
Okay.
They also bloom. Cactuses, you know, sometimes have flowers that bloom.
And fruit.
Yeah. So speaking of fruiting, we're on to the flowering stage this week. Those who are new coming, the first week we looked at the seed of a plant and how it has all the nutrients it needs within for its first session of its life underground as it germinates. So it uses up all its own nutrients in order to get the roots going. And once the roots going, now you're bringing in some nutrients from within and you're grounded. So then you're able to be strong and push up into the surface. So week 2, we were just above the surface, realizing there's a scary environment out here, all these things coming at us to interact with, but also realizing that it all works together. And if you're in the flow of it, you know, and interacting, that everything is usable energy. And so now we've been using up that energy. We're in week 3, we are in the blooming phase. And it's also the last month of spring. So this is the time when most plants are blooming and getting ready for the next season of summer. So fun facts about the blooming stage is that plants, as we know, we probably heard of photosynthesis. They have on the leaves of the plant chloroplast, which is like a factory for converting energy that it gets from the sun or from the soil or from the water. It converts it on the leaves of the plant with using its chloroplast into sugars and usable energy that the plant can then grow. So it's at its height of growing. It's about to bud, right, the plant. And this is when it reaches into its reproductive stage in the flowering stage. This is the plant's reproductive stage. So most people don't think about it, but they do have female and male parts, actually called, I think the style is the male part, and then the female part, it actually has ovaries. And so when the bees come or the wind comes and pollinates the plant, what's happening is it's shaking the stem to drop the pollen from the male part into be trapped on the female part, which is the ovary. And then actually in fruiting plants, that ovary is what becomes the fruit that we eat. And then the seed is inside to do it all over again.
Wow. That's interesting.
Have more in common with plants than we might have thought.
Okay, yeah, so that was it. That's the blooming phase, right? And so now we're at full maturity. It's interacted with all of its environment, and it's become rich. It's holding its own spot in the soil, and now it's spreading, ready to spread its seed. And it's interacting with the pollinators, and the big scary animals now are becoming one with it and getting nutrients from this plant that's all this time be getting nutrients from everything else. So the cycle is almost closed. Next week we'll close the growth cycle with a very fun plant that I'm not going to tell you about yet.
A surprise.
We have 10 minutes. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna try to, even though we started late, we're still gonna try to finish on time today. So we can take off our masks now, and then I'll pass the mic over into the therapy session with Fayre. So we can take off our masks.
Be right back.
Okay.
Let's water the dog.
I'm so happy to have you new members here.
You want a burger?
No,
Ms. Anderson?
not right now.
So good to be here.
Okay,
So good to see everyone.
I'm a Zoom.
I look forward to this moment.
Oh, it feels so minty and refreshed.
We got the wind blowing on this peppermint out here.
Oh, I feel alive.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna play a fun video, but for sake of time, I'll just give a little fun summary, and I'll share the video because they're always beautiful to watch, about this plant. Our plant for today and for our therapy session is the agrimony. It is a perennial, which means that it can what's it called? What's the word?
So it'll die away and then it'll come back again.
Every year it has another season. You don't have to continue planting it. You plant it once and forget it, and it'll keep repollinating itself and coming back every year. It's a very nice plant to have in your garden because of that. It can, throughout the year, give support to other plants in the form of shade or, calling extra, attracting extra pollinators. So it's in the rose family, but it's one of the few that do not have thorns. It actually blooms for 4 months long, which is a very long bloom.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just thinking it's a great plant because we're like perennials, we all go through seasons, and it's important, I think, to recognize where you are in the cycle, in the seasons in your life. Also, some perennials or some plants in general bloom within 1 to 2 weeks. Some take up to 2 years for it to reach its first bloom. So I think that's also important to recognize that with ourselves and our journeys, and we are cycling through life, and sometimes blooming could be quicker and longer for others, and
We keep blooming.
so
When the conditions are right, we bloom. When the conditions are not right, we are harnessing our energy and getting ready to bloom when the conditions are right.
So what's the name of this plant?
that's called the agrimony. There's a lot more. It's also a medicinal plant and stuff. I'll share on our follow-up email and in our Facebook group a video about it, and also some cool facts about it. Our candle for today, we're using the rosemary lavender.
Mom didn't ask today.
Oh.
When are we lighting our candle?
So
Okay.
lavender is also in the same family of perennials. Lavender, hibiscus, lilies are perennial. So we can light our candle with our intention now. Rosemary promotes awareness, improves mental focus and memory. And lavender is known to relax, relieve anxiety and stress. And we could do our mention what our intention. And we can light it now as Faye Ray goes over our intention.
So as always, if you have your own personal intention that resonates with you today, then of course you have the option of disregarding our offering, but we do have an offering for you, and that offering is to recognize that we are sensory beings, that we are constantly taking in signals, sometimes even signals that we may not be aware of, and that while we don't have complete control over our environments or how our bodies and minds are responding to our environments at all times, we do have influence to try and attract the things that serve us and to try and repel the boundaries with the things that don't serve us. So that's a long way of saying our intention is to recognize that we're constantly taking things in, and that if we have a mind to do so, we might be able to emphasize attracting those things that serve us and let go of or set boundaries with the things that don't serve us.
So if you're that plant, that corpse plant, you're putting out the smell of dead bodies to attract pollinators, like flies. Very romantic.
Oh yeah, sounds like a blossom I want to go and smell. All right, so for our little meditation portion, I have a visualization practice for us. And like with all things that we have to offer here, you're welcome to tune me out or take this time to be whatever you need it to be for you. But if you're interested in following along with a little visualization, then we'll spend 2 or 3 minutes doing a breathing and some gentle movement and reflecting on this. So I invite everyone to take a nice big breath and sigh it audibly out of the mouth if that feels right for you. And bring our awareness and attention to whatever's beneath us, whatever's supporting us. So if you're sitting on the ground or if you're sitting on a chair, and taking notice of all the places that your body is coming in contact with another surface. So if you're able to press your feet into the ground, maybe you notice the feeling of the chair beneath you. Maybe if you're resting your hands on your lap, that might be something you bring your awareness to. And always the option to close the eyes if that feels comfortable for you, if that helps you to get into this zone. And then bringing attention to the feeling of the breath as you breathe in and out. Maybe noticing some things about the process of breathing, whether you are able to notice a gentle expansion and contraction around the center of your body as you breathe in and out, or possibly you're able to notice that when you breathe in, the air around your nostrils is a cool sensation. And then as you breathe out, after the air's been in your lungs, maybe you can sense a bit more warmth in the air that's exiting your nostrils. And so settling into this feeling of noticing as we breathe in and out. And I invite you to imagine yourself as whatever type of flowering plant or otherwise that your imagination feels inspired to think about. And imagine your leafy appendages, perhaps fluttering in a gentle breeze, feeling the warmth of the sun. And so thinking about how we might photosynthesize some energies within our inner environments that can serve our purpose for today. So with every breath in, perhaps breathing in those feelings of support, love, inspiration, motivation, whatever it is that you're inviting into your life today. And as you breathe out, imagining the feeling of that warm sun on your leaves, and perhaps seeing within you, visualized as perhaps a color of light or even a colorless light. Those feelings that you're nurturing growing larger and larger, filling up the space inside as you breathe out. So breathing in all of the nourished energy of the sun, of the air, breathing in your personal intentions or what you wish to invite into your day. And as you breathe out, feeling yourself generating all of those feelings, those motivations, those inspirations. Using our breath and our imagination to photosynthesize and support something nurturing.
You know, we could turn off the mic.
Your own pace, if it feels right to you, you might think about sending the arms outward and maybe gently fluttering the fingers as you raise your arms up toward the ceiling or the sky. Maybe taking a nice reach, like you're stretching the sides of the body, and maybe swaying or folding on one side and the other. Feel your length and strength. And then at your pace when you're ready, allowing those fingers to flutter back down. And as your fingers reach their resting point, if your eyes are closed, you might decide to allow them to gently open back into this place. Yep, and knowing that this is something that maybe a minute or two a day, if you feel that it helps you to tap into our ability to create an inner environment and generate the sort of fuel that we need, whatever it is in that moment. Okay, so yeah, so if everyone would like to blow out their candles together.
We're out in the wind, so I'm not able to do it. But if anybody still has wax in your candle, I invite you now to we'll close this out with our intention as well, taking that forward with us in our day to take notice of the signals that are coming in from your environment and realizing that you are the leaf that processes and converts it into usable energy. So you're a factory. And if anybody wants to share pouring their candle and rubbing it on their hands as a lotion candle, mine is out, but you're welcome to do that. And I'm going to share one last closing video for a sigh of peaceful enjoyment. Just some more flowers blooming. Thank you so much for being here today, ladies.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll share all the stuff we didn't get to in our email and our Facebook group. I will give you an invite also, Miss Anderson, to the Facebook group.
All right. Thank you.
Here.
Thank you. We
Have
see
a
you next
beautiful
week.
You too.
You
Thanks
too.
a lot.
Bye.
Bye, family.